but she's running an event on March 19th, which is like a women in engineering event, or an alumni of distinction panel specifically for women in engineering. And she'll be having that March 19th in Biscayne from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Free, open to all students. It's supposed to be food, I think that's what she said. So that's going to be one of the first events that I help her kind of advertise to students. And there'll be many more to come for the rest of the semester. I'm going to try to make the speaker be this position be her representative connection to the SGA, to make it a more constant, documented position rather than in the past where it's just been whoever happened to be working in the alumni office too. So I'm going to try to make that kind of something that becomes stable. So just to give you guys some dates in case you don't know them, March 19th will be the Alumni of Distinction event, which is specializing in women in engineering. Everyone's welcome to go. I'm going to try to be there. May 3rd is the Welcome Seniors event at the alumni office, which is their like senior welcome dinner to get seniors more involved with the Alumni Association prior to graduation. And then May 29th to June 1st is Alumni Weekend. So that's winter break, but that's something that she's going to be trying to get students involved with a little earlier on for planning. So that's my speaker of the Senate report. I think it's the first one I've done ever, really. I've always just saved myself for academic affairs. So there you guys go. We'll now move to Cabinet report. President.
Okay.
Vice President.
Thank you everybody for coming to Founders Day Ball. Shannon did a really good job, as well as the rest of the committee, so everybody should give her on a more serious note, we're going to try to change the meeting structure just a little bit. We haven't had great attendance at any of the committee meetings, and this is something that the Cabinet feels pretty strongly about. So the weeks that we have the Constitution kind of meetings, they're usually a lot lighter on the docket. So we're going to try to break into your committees for about 10 to 20 minutes and kind of just go over some initiatives and everything. And then we'll bring back to the regular Senate, and everybody, the committee heads, will just talk about what they're doing to try to get more senator involvement. So that way, if you really can't do a committee meeting, because I know they're after SGA meetings or during the week sometimes, this way the senators will be able to get involved and explore some new committees. So we're going to give that a try tonight because there's only one item on the docket. Please kind of just be receptive to it. If you guys really don't like it, it doesn't have to continue. We just kind of want to try to get the committees really doing stuff.
So now we'll move to Chairperson of the Committee on Student Interests.
No report.
Treasurer report.
No report.
Secretary report. We'll now move to committee reports. Academic affairs. Thank you guys for the funding last week of all the events. Everything's really planned now. Hang out with the provost this Wednesday, filling up. We're pretty much at capacity, but I'll make exceptions for senators, so don't worry about that. But you have to apply. You have to get documented on the list so I know. So look through your emails, do that form. We have March 5th is Faculty Feud event. So that's going to be in the afternoon in Bouchard. Come check that out around 3:30, 4 o'clock on a Wednesday. And then what else do we have? Bowling starting up, so that'll go out, but this week I guess, Matt? Yeah, so Matt's running that event. You'll see those coming through soon. Bowling event. And other than that, town hall meeting this Wednesday. For the school, they're going to talk about the master plan and development plan. Really good presentation. A lot of concrete numbers, good transition from the last one, so definitely come check that out. Open to all students at 2:30 now. Or 2? 2. I know it was rescheduled, so 2 o'clock. Just so you guys know. So definitely put that on your calendars if you're available. Question? That's Wednesday. This Wednesday, the 26th.
It'd be really good for you guys to go and be kind of ambassadors for the faculty members.
I almost want to make it a requirement as a senator to attend this if you're available.
Can somebody take minutes, because I know like I have to go in.
All of it's online.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can like, yeah, all of
It'll get posted publicly, yeah.
There's stuff on it right now in the master plan, but a lot of, like, I haven't seen the presentation, and it's like, there are a lot of concrete numbers, and there are photos, and like what campus is gonna look like, and it's really descriptive, and it's a really good presentation. You're all really impressed, so. I think it's really important for all, especially all the senators, you guys are representing the school, you guys are supposed to be, you know, the link between the administration and the students. So it's really great. It'd be really great if you guys could all go and, you know, get the information that they're giving out, and just kind of massage any doubts students might be having.
Question?
Yeah.
That'll be in the Bond Auditorium. Yeah, good old fancy. No question about that?
No, not a question, a comment. For what it's worth, the last time they had a master plan meeting, there were, I think, 3 students there.
Yeah. I was one of them. Yeah, you guys really should come, and they do an open Q&A, which is something you don't normally get for stuff like this with students. And they humored all the students who asked questions, the 3 of us that were there. It's definitely worth coming. Definitely worth coming. And the president will be addressing his update on the strategic plan prior to. So it's definitely worth coming to. All right, I'm sorry. We'll continue now, accountability.
All right. As always, pushing the form, working with clubs directly. I met with Mike's Arts and Music Subcommittee. They all seemed interested in it. We're really looking to get clubs to get people attending their events to felt for, you know? So that's kind of what we're doing there. We're going to meet on Tuesday, but I guess we're just meeting in like 30 minutes now. So we're going to do that. That's all.
All right, campus life.
We had a meeting last week, which went really well, even though there were only 4 of us there. But I guess we'll talk about our initiatives that we are continuing and coming up with today.
Constitution and bylaws.
Yeah, so right now I'm still trying to go through the sort of list of bylaw amendments that we made in the past couple semesters and make sure that our current bylaws document is on the website, at least is up to date. I plan on having a meeting this week, which I'll be organizing through DuckSync, to sort of go over what our plan is for the semester and like what goals we might have. That's about it.
Public relations. No report. Speaker committee. Failed. I should say. Tailgate committee.
So I had a meeting with Russ Rogers this past week, set up dates for tailgates. Right now we're looking at 6, maybe 7. I talked to Emily Dansdorfer, got all of her stuff that she used, including email templates. So I expect this week send out an email to all the organizations, it goes beyond RSOs, about to fill out the form, to correct the dates for this semester. And so if you're in an organization, definitely look out for that. Still having the internal debate about whether we're going to reach out to all the Greek organizations or just allow it to be like an IFC or just Panhandle kind of deal. First one of those dates is going to be after spring break, so that's just for you guys to know. I think it's the Wednesday after spring break. And I need a committee to review all these whatever proposals with. So if you're interested in being on my committee, which is not a standing committee because we didn't approve that bylaw in the summer, send me an email. I think I can send emails to the listserv now, so I'll send that out to remind everyone. But just reply to that email so we can meet, or you can just talk over email about that whole Greek council thing. Thank you.
Got it. We'll move to committee on student interest subcommittee reports. I think student council.
The infamous cannoli night, cannoli eating contest will be on Friday. Not sure, but
Also, minutes
it's
of
on
fire
Friday.
station.
What? Mark? What?
I'm good.
Oh, okay. And all this. That's it? Awesome. So everyone should go to that event. We certainly put them through a lot of hassle for that, so definitely going to be worth the attendance. Professional Societies Council. Any report in his absence? Nope. All right, we'll move now to Media Board. Special Interest Council.
So my call schedule has been pretty heavy, and as such, if anyone would be, if any of the senators would be interested in taking over the Special Interests Council from me, see me after the meeting. Because planning meetings for me has not been going well. So someone with a little more free time would probably do a better job.
Club Sports Council.
I met with John Marizzi, he's in charge of recreation, and he kind of gave me an overview on the club sports, but I'll probably be meeting with him again to go over.
Arts and Music.
We had our first meeting last week, and just like a couple things I want to say. Something that the subcommittee asked for that I think might benefit all the other subcommittees, or you guys can choose if you'd like. They're asking for like a way for all of the organizations. I think there are like 7 that are in the Arts and Music subcommittee. They want to look for a way to communicate with each other easily, so they've been like looking for a listserv Then the Art Installations Club asked me to tell everyone that, you know how when you, like for the play, and I think there's one other organization that had an advertisement projected on the Davia wall right over here. Have you guys seen that? Art Installations Club is the club that does that, and they want to let everyone know that you can totally take advantage of that. They use the green room, which they have pretty much all control over. So, if your organizations are looking for a fun way to promote their events, Davia wall is a thing. And then, question about Duck Sync. So subcommittee heads are supposed to be the ones that are at the bottom of the budget request, like the reviewer, or not the reviewer, but
Yes.
the reviewer is
Yeah,
the
reviewer.
proper term. Okay. Yeah, and I don't think I am one of those. I don't know if it's been updated since the new subcommittee heads.
I'll look into it.
Thank you. That's it.
All right, awesome. And recreation.
We're having a meeting on Thursday.
Cool.
Where? America's Cup at 8 o'clock.
We'll now move to old business. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes from February 17th.
So moved.
All right, attendance. Set in stone after this, just remember that. Boards. Public forum. Cabinet. Organizations. Right. I'll entertain motion for previous questions.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor of moving to previous question, please say aye. All those opposed? All those in favor of approving the minutes from the February 17th Senate meeting, please say aye. All those opposed? Motion passes. So continue with the agenda. New business. There is no new business. Is there any items that people want to bring up that weren't on the docket? John?
I would bring back to the table the C2GS additional funding request.
All right. Additional funding request as submitted. Total of $491 in additional funding request to purchase a new Xbox 360. Details are provided for the console and accessories. Comment as seen previously. We'll now begin discussion. There are representatives from the organization in the room. They unfortunately were not present for public forum. So discussion on that. Would anybody like to begin? Sean.
Question for the guests in the room. Can you explain? We've been having a lot of questions about what exactly happened. We're asking police reports.
Okay, so how it went down was last semester during one of our standard weekly lands, I forget now when it was, but I think it was some kind of October, around that time. We were cleaning up from this room, bringing everything back up to the closet on the second floor, and because we bring so much down, we needed to do them in shifts. So we brought half the things up, came back down, brought the other what we brought down back up there, and then we locked up for the night. When we came the week after, we brought everything down and noticed that the Xbox 360 wasn't on the cart where we usually put it, because it's it was in a metal suitcase, so it could be either thrown in the cart or brought up by hand. So I wasn't there for the cleanup, but you two were. You want to talk about the cleanup and all? That's when we noticed it was gone. We talked to people in the club. We made out an announcement if anyone saw it. That's why it took about 2 weeks since the actual theft before we submitted to the police report, because it was 1 week to notice it was gone, and 1 week we were trying to see if any member knew where it went, and we were trying to figure out what happened to it within our own organization that we filed.
in that closet. Right. Possibly have just misplaced it in the closet. We want to make sure it was gone before having to pull the police report.
And then submitted a police report, and nothing came from it, and you guys know the rest, or I think that's good.
All right, so seeing that, we'll continue now with discussion. Go to Mark first.
Since we're gonna be discussing, I guess, in the discussion section about how to like prevent stuff like this in the future, can you just, maybe go into a little more detail about like when you do the 2 shifts, like, is there no one down here watching, or is You mean like, have you guys been able to identify where at least you guys think it went missing? Like, was it never brought up? Was it taken out of the closet during the week? Like, have you guys figured out at least on your end where you think it went missing? So you can prevent it from happening again? Or is it just like a risk that you take every week?
I mean, it's entirely possible that it was never brought up. It's hard for me, it's not something that like, you know, I would know for sure being a
But-
while ago.
But someone watches the stuff that's down here. Like,
We do have people, it's not like we leave the stuff all alone, because there are still, you know, keyboard members and other, people in the room usually when we clean up.
so that's what you, like, I mean, I guess on you guys, I'm sure you have an opinion about it. Is that what you guys think it went missing? Like, it just never got put back in the closet? Like, it happened during the land?
I don't know. I couldn't say. Well, it seems to me very unlikely that it was stolen from the closet, since, no one other than our keyboard members should have access to it.
Oh.
That was,
At the time, most of our keyboard didn't have swipe access either, so.
Yeah, I know that is true. Alright,
Continue discussion then on the vote as a whole. Mike?
About how like, so to get into the closet, you have to use the swipe?
Yes.
yeah, the closet is, upstairs in, was it 220?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So if it's after 9 PM, you need the swipe to get into the room and then swipe to the closet. If it's during standard class hours, you just need to swipe into the closet because the classrooms are open. But I don't even think we have a key, so
We
if,
don't have a physical key necessarily.
yeah,
It's all
so
swipe access.
if something went wrong with the swipe system, even we couldn't get into our own closet, so.
Continue discussion? Continue discussion. Sean?
I mean, we've been going back and forth about this since last semester. When they notified us, we asked for a police report, they gave us a police report. Everything that C2GS has, that we've asked of them with regards to this, they've been more than happy to provide. These things, you know, things happen. You know, there's nothing, there's not too much you can do. You try to be more careful. I assume you guys want to be more careful going forward. So I see no reason why we shouldn't give them money to replace the equipment that went missing.
Mark?
last question from what we talked about last week too. Why do you guys still need the Xbox 360 given the spring funding for PS4 and Xbox One?
Primarily Rock Band. We use it very commonly during LANs. We use it at events such as CPAC. It's one of the main staples in the game room. And the Xbox One is not backwards compatible, so all of our Xbox collection is useless currently.
Okay, thanks.
Yvonne?
Who's the previous question?
Second.
All those in favor of moving the previous question, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All those in favor of approving the initial funding request for a new Xbox 360 and accessories at $491, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
No.
Motion passes. We'll continue now with the agenda items. All right, so there are no other items in new business or items on the table. Are there any other items that members of the Senate would like to bring forward? Seeing none, we'll move now to discussion. Prior to doing our new form of breakout discussion on subcommittees, which we'll do on Constitution weeks like this one, not on budget weeks, we'll, I guess, to continue on the discussion point of some sort of procedure for lost and stolen items, those that are in ownership of the SGA. So, to continue the discussion, we'd like to begin. Mike?
I have a question. So, when you file a police report, do we know what kind of I don't know how much anyone knows these are, but do we know what kind of investigation, if any, campus police does? Because something I'm wondering that I don't think anyone in here would know is like, if campus police checked, like, if anyone accessed that closet via swipe to see if like it was taken by anyone. Is there a way that we can ensure that something like that happens, or is that kind of out of our realm and that's really up to campus police?
discussion, not just your brother Sean.
I mean, the representatives from C2GS are probably the most recent among us to have filed a police report. If you guys, or when you filed the police report, what happened after that in regards to contact with the police? Yes. So
We gave more information. I had to give Chris's number also as a secondary form of contact, and they never told us anything after that initial report. They just wrote it down on a piece of scrap paper they had at the front desk, filed it somewhere, and that's where communication ended.
I did get a call from, Campus up at some point asking me about like the events of that night, but that was all.
Just give you the other half, like, we didn't really get any details either from Christie's, like, about what they did, it was just, last week was really like, no outcome from, like, not even like any details of this was the outcome, just that it was like, no outcome.
We'll go to Mike.
So moving forward, can we ensure if there's like if there's a police report filed about something that like belongs to an RSO, that any action that's taken we're informed of, because like with all like nothing personal against you guys, I just felt a little uncomfortable like approving the additional filing request, given that we don't know everything that happened, and specifically now I'm referring to what campus police did, if anything at all.
So something we could do going forward, start up a dialogue with the campus police more, so whenever a report is filed, either we ask them for it, or they notify us of when an RSO comes in with a report of something missing, something being stolen, so that we have that kind of open conversation when things like this happen.
Yeah.
The only thing is, maybe like force, that not like force, but I guess that's the only suitable word that I could use to, can we force the police department to communicate with us more readily?
I mean, if an RSO files that something was stolen, it's not only their property, it's ours. So I would interpret that as, again, it's something we want to talk to student life more about, but it's our property too.
Yeah.
So we have an interest in any cases where it gets stolen, as much as the RSO itself.
No, like I understand
Right.
that it's in our interest, but like, I'm just,
And we can at least ask.
you're right, yeah.
John?
Could we have the subcommittee head of whatever club is filing the report kind of meet with the club and the police and kind of drive that process?
Something that we do. Mike?
I think that we talked about this before. One of the issues that we had is, like, and you know, the representatives here explained why there was like why it took 2 weeks for us to hear about the stolen Xboxes, because they like, took some time to talk to campus police. So that's good. But I think something that we wanted to hear more about was like, I think this is where the RSO should come to us and have a representative or talk to the subcommittee head and just come in and say, hey, like, we just had to file a police report about this, or like something just happened where we have lost property, we're not sure what to do with it. Because I don't think it's campus police's responsibility to come to us. I think it's the organization's responsibility to come to us so that we can, you know, hopefully work with the administration to work something out. But that's just my opinion.
Mark?
I think the very obvious thing that's being lost here is that none of the organizations file police reports. Like, this is the first time, the entire time that I've been here, that anyone's actually filed a police report for something being lost or stolen. And it makes sense because it's such a high, like, expensive item. But most of the times, club will just put it in their next budget, and none of us will realize, and we'll just approve it. And that's just how it happens. And, like, we're all more ignorant for it. But, like, I'm just saying, like, I don't think it actually happens. So, I mean, I think the discussion should be, along similar lines, just more communication with the RSOs. Like, if they do, something is lost or stolen, to let us know. Because honestly, right now, this is, if you're taking it in perspective, this is the first time we've had an item lost. This year, this past 3 years, past 4 years, you know what I mean? Like, this is the first item anyone's ever lost.
Continued discussion. All right, so I'm going to end discussion on this. I think that it is an issue that we should continue to look into. I think that maybe we should form a committee, not standing, but a committee to look into this issue further. this semester and kind of put them under the accountability umbrella. I think that might be a good idea, but that's my suggestion as speaker. That's something the Senate can do if they'd like. So moving forward, maybe we should look into something like that. So we'll finish that discussion item. We can bring some up next week if we want to go further with that. We'll continue now with discussion. What we're going to do is we're going to do breakouts. Now, the cabinet and I have talked about this a little bit already today. We just kind of outline it with you. We'll do this every other meeting. We used to do something like this in the past where like we would have a general discussion of the whole Senate about one particular subcommittee, but it kind of got a little, I guess, lost in translation. No one really knew what was going on because only certain parts of the Senate were actually active in those committees. So we're going to try doing breakouts like this instead. So that'll be 2 meetings a month. Every other meeting where the dockets are shorter like this one, we'll have a quick 10-minute discussion, breakout in your subcommittee. So what we're going to do is we're going to do that. We're going to come back together, have a quick, just a report, just down the roster of the regular committees again, just about what you talked about in discussion. And then I think, we're not 100% sure on this, but we think that one, you should still be required to have 1 meeting a month outside of this meeting, because as committees of the SGA, you should have non-senators on your committee. I know Academic Affairs and Campus Life Committee both have regular students on the general bodies. So your committee should be looking to have non-senators involved, so you should have 1 meeting a month outside of here. And we're going to try to draft a bylaw change for constitution and bylaws to kind of structure this a little bit better in the bylaws that say committees have a requirement of the number of meetings they have to have a month and things like that in order to be a standing committee of the SGA and stuff like that. So that's something we're going to look into too. If you're in the campus constitution and bylaws committee, please bring that up in your breakout. So we'll do that now. I'm just going to put on the wall. This is the attendance sheet, which has next to it the committee you told us that you identify with most, so you know where we think you're at. So in terms of the oversight committee, when we go for impeachments, this is the committee chair that we're going to speak with prior to motion, discuss your involvement in their committee. This is where, yeah, I'm going to scroll down.
If you don't have a committee, just let me know, and I'll add it for you, or if you want to change committees, let me know. We're also, for this purposes, we're going to count tailgate as one of the committees for our breakout sessions, because Mark really needs some help getting that going right now.
So I'll scroll down to the seniors in a second, just give you guys a second. The seniors aren't on there yet, Sarah. They're on the bottom, I didn't put them up yet. I just, I'm not going to be able to fit all up there, so. So there's seniors. So, you guys want me to tell you where to go, or can you just handle that?
It'll be like 10 minutes and then we'll
discussion. Yeah, we're going to come back and then do a report.
That's where I was going to go. I was going to go sit
Are you going to I just filled out your doodle.
Oh, wait.
So this is PR.
Guys, we're going to do SFA, we're up here.
And you switched. I counted tailgate because we should be really slow.
Alright, so, like,
I don't think we have a quorum.
I'll just make sure Andrew knows. I can put your name in, she needs to yeah, I put your name, I put on your name, but she needs to know. So. For all intents and purposes, Reba is the builder.
It's like,
So, maybe this one I was on the cabinet, so size issue.
It could even be like motivated by your SGA, say
It's that kind of mentality.
not even like a plaque, like
Then the other half
kind of like a piece of paper saying like, oh, we're out
just
tomorrow.
almost was very so we don't have to
And then like a ton of people are like, oh, we're putting on like outside my room to name it.
But that's not, that's like, that's the argument. I'm serious.
So like, there are things like that.
Yeah, but
that's addition to that.
You could literally just walk out to the
Web
website
app
and
is
get
like
like,
five. The thing that makes me challenge is they want to try to play softball season to play Weehawk. So some people will win if not ourselves. It's just I'm saying softball is only 4 They don't play on campus.
And then,
I don't disagree at all. It's based on right by water. So just like having the tailgate closest to me instead of just as a person. Maybe if I see it used to be you want to tailgate all the options. Now like
I do think someone if they have a good baseball tailgate, this is a perfect way to work with them.
Maybe when the elections are the oversight
Because that's the whole thing.
But all I know is that like,
yes, we have it. Maybe like
I mean, I don't think this discussion's get that serious.
I'm afraid of
Just send an email to all of this. Last year, honestly, yeah, that's why it's an organization. Because like we're such a big organization. And that's the other way that we did in the a couple of them weren't full. And so we I did the first one. It was the organization that we did everyone made sure. The one right after spring break, we let them know we're spring break. You're doing that. They're not going to we'll make sure it's an organization. Also, if we start getting bids for that, then we can make the decision. I mean, I'll definitely give you guys a call.
I tell you, I just want to
I would just say, if you have I'm not saying how much whereas other ones just got mixed up. And that's something we were good at athletics too, like they'll tag our advertisements on there. One of them is actually you don't want it to be just me. I don't want it to be either. Just choosing over that. It's just yeah. So, I don't think Zach is like, she said, the suggestion is to not have.
If issues arise,
I think the reason why is because I think logically, each of them, you're only drawing from one house, as opposed to doing like similar. So just to clarify, because I don't think it's a specific critique of the team of the house.
Yeah, all right.
That's
Like, it's not like external elections happening.
then if you know,
Presidential election.
Alright, everybody, we're gonna come back in together. But let's stay in our committees when we give reports, alright?
but I think personally, like if availability, just do it this way.
Alright, everybody. Just get back, pull back together.
I mean, in this second, in the first.
Alright, John, you ready? Yeah, you guys can stay in your seats if you want. You don't have to come back. We're just gonna do a quick update that called quiz anyway, so.
I quit.
Chill out there, big guy. Alright, so we're gonna continue now to a second committee report just about the items we talked about in your breakout. So, academic affairs, we talked about three things. First, better ways to replace the academic affair committee's chairperson because it is so directly linked to the SFA and the whole e-board. So we talked about that, about how which one of them would take it over next semester, and then in terms of how there should still be some separateness between both the academic affairs committee and the SFA, and that will be we'll utilize these meetings as more of academic specific meetings. And moving forward, we're going to work with the SFA to make sure that the academic affairs committee also is one of their internal committees, specifically for policy and initiative-based reform. And then the SFA, the rest of them, because we focus more on events. So that'll allow there to be a more structured academic affairs committee between the two organizations that functions or focuses on initiatives rather than events. And then off that note, we discussed two initiatives that we're going to try to work on this semester. One, Professor Leopold is trying to structure some sort of spine design program for chemical biology majors, or chem bio majors. So Matt's actually going to try to lay that one up and work with him on developing student representation on the committee that will maybe work on that design spine to mimic and match the engineering curriculum and the physics curriculum, which have one. And the second initiative we talked about was trying to utilize the freshman experience classes that are now part of the freshman curriculum and using them as almost a welcome to Stevens curriculum and kind of include organizations and other professors to get involved with that curriculum to help students, especially freshmen, get better acquainted with the campus. And we're going to try to figure out one of us to take lead on that item and start scheduling meetings to work on that type of reform. So now we'll continue with accountability. What you guys talk about, John?
We talked about managing SGA property. We weren't a huge fan of the barcode scanner, but we're going to be developing written protocols for each of the clubs to manage their property along with inventory lists. So that way, when something like this happens, we'll at least have a context to kind of know how it happened and what went wrong. That was our conversation.
Awesome. We'll continue now to campus life.
Okay, so we had about 7 initiatives. First, follow up with the bowling alley. Talked to Alex Greasy. He answered our questions, so we're pretty good with that. Number 2, the shuttle station, which Danielle is taking charge of, and we will be meeting with the senior gift committee to see if they want to use that as their senior gift. 3, Jacobus Large Conference Room. That Greg and Sean are working on to update the Jacobus Large Campus Room, working with APO who will volunteer to do the painting, and maybe we'll add some projectors and new whiteboards and more chairs. Number 4, file work order to put up whiteboards. Okay. 5, Follow up with publicity about the signage for water fountains, which Greg just did. Publicity, how'd it go?
We'll talk about it.
6, add more or start a water fountain initiative. Instead of us just buying more of those really cool water fountains, we're going to try to get departments on campus to buy their own water fountains and take over all of the water fountains on campus without using our own money, but with our charm and good looks. Number 7 is updating America's Cup with new furniture, which Brian, Jess, and Anna will be working on together with new furniture and maybe approach to Dexo and whoever did ZB to make it look nice to redo that for us. That's it.
Awesome. And when are you guys gonna meet again, outside of this?
Not this Thursday, but the next Thursday. We meet every Thursday in every other Thursday in America's Cup unless it's snowing. And we don't.
8 p.m., right?
Yeah, usually 8. I send out emails though, so
All right, Constitution and bylaws.
maybe we can do 9.
Yeah, so we discussed a number of things. Mainly, we sort of discussed the difference between things that that belong in the Constitution, and things that belong in the bylaws. We also discussed what type of meeting formats that we're going to want to have in the future, whether we want to have consistent regular meetings or shorter regular meetings and then have like a longer summit every once in a while. We also discussed some of the main sort of non-controversial things that need to be changed in the bylaws. And we also discussed what the Constitution Bylaws Committee did in the past and how we're going to either keep doing that or change the procedure in the future.
Feel free to change it.
Thank you so much for the report. And now we'll move to public relations. Matt?
Okay. So the first thing we did was set up kind of a meeting time. Our consistent one's going to be after the first SGA meeting of every month. So that was kind of just the first discussion. As far as articles in the Stoop, that's something Ant did that kind of fell off the transition between him and I.
There was a transition between the two of you?
So he had members of the PR committee writing an article every week about the SGA meeting and what was accomplished in that meeting. So I think we're going to pick that back up. We're going to kind of create a schedule with it. And as well as with the Stoop, we're going to include external elections. So if there's an election in Hoboken, or a national election, or a New Jersey election, we're going to try to get kids to be aware of the election and want to vote and show them that we had a vote and where to find that stuff. So that'll be as a need basis. The second big thing, circling back to the plaques of the water fountains, rather than get big plaques that are showy and engraved, we'd rather just put like almost like a permanent poster. So like a nicely framed piece of paper saying, provided to you by our SGA, ideas for more, email sga@cbs.edu as to where you'd like them. That was our consensus. CLC looks like it disagrees.
We disagree.
So we could put this in open discussion.
Yeah.
We'll go on with that one later. Is there anything else you guys talk about?
Yeah. We wanted to do kind of a Google Calendar as a more efficient way, because there is a calendar with all the events on DuckSync, but it's not very thorough, and nobody really reads the SLN. So we want to get kind of a more thorough Google Calendar going with the help of the subcommittee heads. So each subcommittee head is hopefully going to have a list of all their events that we can input into the calendar.
On that note, I talked to Christy about doing that, like a centralized Google Calendar with all the events, and she's actually really on board with that. Do you want to talk to Chris Szymanski in Student Life and work with him? He's like directly spearheading that, so talk to him.
So apparently it's already in motion.
Yeah. It's a good idea. I agree.
And we'd like to, we're trying to figure out how we're going to get that to the entire student body, whether it's putting a screenshot or a list of it in the student or
Yeah, it's going to
sharing.
it's all throughout the day, top of the sling. Like first thing, top of the sling, click on it, and have like a Google Calendar. But since no one reads a sling, I guess we could put it elsewhere.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to figure out, is how to kind of actually get people to see it if they want it.
I was also throwing around the idea with him about, you know, the TVs that said appears, like just have it posted up there.
Yeah.
Maybe in front of Schaefer, around campus.
What did you say that guy's name was?
Chris Shemansky. He's the new associate director.
I can send you his email.
Yeah, we'll send you his contact information, don't worry about it.
Okay, so, that's pretty much what we discussed.
What about, do we have an org sync representative? Somebody you can talk to? No?
Yeah, they have one through Student Life.
Alright, when you meet with Student Life, try to, because org sync might have some sort of like
They do, I'm looking at it.
export system, alright, like for the calendar as a whole, that might make it easier to populate a Google one. So definitely, I don't know if that's something Christy and Student Life would think to immediately look into. That might be something you want to do.
Well, I'll get on the same page as this Chris fellow and we'll go from there.
Do you guys have an alias, a PR create alias? Or that's
For-
no? Okay, we'll set one up for you. Like,
No, Anthony just sent them out like individually.
okay, we'll set you up an alias so that instead of writing, like if you have any more ideas, SGA Stevens, we'll do like a PR for you.
Okay. So I think actually we have publicity at Stevens AED is already an alias that someone's
Okay.
using, but I don't think they're using it anymore, so we might be able to get that back.
We'll work on
It
it.
used to be the Slim contact, was that. So we might be able to get that back. All right, so we'll go to speaker. No report in their absence. Does anybody affiliate with that other than Emily?
Had a nice hour meeting with Emily about it on Saturday, but just talking about speakers.
All right, you guys gonna do it for the fall?
Yes,
Okay, so you're gonna have an update on that soon?
that's her committee.
All right.
I don't know what she wants me to say.
I'm
Can't
just,
say
I'm
about it.
looking well, it's fine. Tailgate.
All right, sweet. We talked about some very nitty-gritty details. Basically, we're telling the committees or the organizations this year where the tailgates will be, because that falls directly in line with our purpose of increasing attendance at those games. So, in other words, we're having a tailgate closer to where the actual game is instead of just on whatever one you prefer. We are going to go with Greek councils instead of houses in order to increase attendance, but also to avoid potentially, recruitment kind of things, maybe it being seen as a rush event for a particular house instead of just as a tailgate for SGA and athletics. And once we're probably going to close the submission form right before spring break, and then over spring break via email, we'll be over the bids, and then when we come back, we'll all be set. What's up, Danielle?
Are you guys actually gonna come to the softball games this year, is there at least gonna be one on campus before softball games?
Athletics requested one out in Weehawken. Russ Rogers called the facility, said I think it'll be all right. It'd be the same one that they'll sponsor a fan bus to and everything like that. So I think we're actually gonna try that this semester.
Thank you, I appreciate it, Mark.
No problem.
They're gonna be okay with like bringing the grills and stuff out
They
there?
offered to bring the grills for us. On one of those little buses.
So you should all come to softball.
And I'll definitely keep you guys in the loop with what dates there are too, just to go and all that.
It's less than a mile though, it's not a bad walk either.
No, it's 2 miles.
Is it 2 miles?
We also discussed.
Alright, so you're good? Alright, any more? We're all good? Alright, so guys, before we close discussion, was everybody comfortable with this? Does this seem something that we should continue to do?
Yeah.
You just give me nods and stuff, that's fine, I think you had a good time. All of the committee should have, this is something that Ashley brought up, you all should be taking attendance regularly at your meetings. So she took attendance for this one, but if you guys meet outside of this, make sure you take attendance. You should make your committee meetings an OrgSync event so that you can take attendance and post on OrgSync. And you guys all should have an alias. You guys should all have some sort of contact alias for your committee. So, right, you already have one? So if you guys don't have one, or if you don't know if you have one, send myself an email or Ashley an email, let us know, and we'll get you one quicker. So we'll probably just get you guys aliases, which is just something at Stevens.edu. That's good for up to like 15 people. If you're going to get larger than that, you might do it to a list. Or 10 people, so it is 10. So more than 10 people, then you have to move to a list. SFA is a list only because I have faculty included, so we break the 10 real quickly. But you guys might not need them, so there's no reason to set one up unless you don't need it. Mark? We'll take it, yeah.
Second.
All those in favor, close the meeting, say aye. What?
Look at the flags.